Octane convenes and enables the Southern California tech and med tech ecosystems by connecting people and resources and capital. So with me is the CEO, Bill Carpoo, to talk about what's going on in the investment community, how the pandemic has impacted that this year. And as we hopefully get out of this crisis soon, Bill, to talk about how you're kind of positioning for that as well. So let's start with just the pandemic. I mean, kind of take me back, and how did you guys deal with this for the past year?
Yeah, Jane, great to be with you. And what a crazy year. It's been just about a year right now, 368 days and counting, right? But I think when we look at the pandemic and how it impacted us, it really made us understand that in many ways, and you covered the things that Octane does, we are a content provider. And what was at risk at one point were the events and the conferences. So it kind of accelerated where we probably would have gotten to at some point anyway, which is create great content, be able to provide it to people, on demand. And what we ended up finding were these in-person events were just a single channel of distribution. So we embraced obviously a digital format, Zoom, a couple of different types of ways that we did that. The other thing is we saw a record number amount of capital getting raised. We helped companies raise over $445 million of capital in 2020. So by all standards, it was a pretty good year.
Yeah, no, that's actually surprising and very impressive. And by the way, I have discovered these kind of Zoom conferences and things too. And I like it. I mean, I miss the in-person stuff, but I feel like there's going to be a digital arm to about every event going in the future. I mean, I totally enjoy going to some of these things.
Yeah, you almost can't avoid it. And I mean, we're hearing from people, they want to come back, they want to meet with people. And we're going to do that. We're going to do it obviously under the proper safety protocols. And I don't think just because everybody gets vaccinated, 1,000 people are going to pile into a single room on any given day. But it's important to really, for us, I think anyway, for us to define what our version of a hybrid event is going to be. And rolling forward, everything's going to have that component. So even at a time when we could welcome people back in person, we know that we're going to want to create on-demand content that people could view and reach a much broader and wider audience, even on a global standpoint.
Right. Well, let's talk about your event coming up in May then. So tell me about that event, and then how can people access it online, or will there be any in-person events at that point?
Yeah. So, great point. We, last year, everything moved to 100% digital. And we did have this past year, 2021, I should say, January 2021, our aesthetics event was virtual. And this will hopefully be our tech event, which is May 17th through to 19th, will be our last digital event. From that point forward, we're planning on hybrid, welcoming people back. Now, to add the human element to it, we're surrounding that 3-day virtual event with in-person networking, groups of 25, groups of 30, small breakfast meetings, all outside, properly spaced. And so anybody wants to find anything further out on it, they can go to our website, which is octaneoc.org, or MTIF, which is, TIFF, which is Technology Innovation Forum.org.
Okay. Now, last time we spoke in person, which was August 2019 at the NASDAQ, so it's been so long ago, and you were preparing to launch Octane Enterprise Solutions. So have you done that? How have you seen that play out?
Yeah, we've done that. We launched it officially in October of 2019. So, I think to launch a new entity, there couldn't have been a worse time. But the organization and the entity have really begun to grab some traction. It's intended to really serve as similar to a private equity portfolio operations group, and it's speed to capital, speed to growth. So we've got a pipeline full of opportunities, and we're encouraging entrepreneurs, whether they've come through the LaunchPad process or not, to utilize our platform to help them raise capital, and more importantly, to connect with advisors that could help them grow their business afterwards.
Yeah.
Because once you get the capital, you've got to do something with it, and that's a flaw we see with a lot of early stage companies.
Interesting, because there's so many aspects. There's legal and just the technical and all these things, and you need advisors for that. And then you mentioned capital, so you had Elevation Ventures, and that connects entrepreneurs with capital, right?
Yeah. So we had helped form in 2015 Visionary Ventures, which is a separate entity of which Octane is a managing partner. But we just announced this past month Elevation Ventures, and Elevation Ventures will be a new fund. We are entering a mode to attract LPs at this point, and obviously accredited LPs. And the premise on Elevation is there's an abundance of great ideas and great companies in Southern California. And frankly, when I make reference to that $445 million that we helped raise, a big chunk of it came out of Boston and New York. So the idea here is really to give investors locally in the Southern California economy and community access to some of that abundance of great ideas. So Elevation will use deal flow coming out of our LaunchPad accelerator, well vetted and de-risked to the extent that you could de-risk a venture investment. There's still an enormous amount of risk with everything, but it positions it as maybe a later stage company versus a Series A.
Okay, and then looking forward to this year as things start to reopen, what kind of things you have planned? I understand you've got an artificial intelligence project that you're working on. What is that?
We believe that Southern California could become a hub of global innovation for AI. When we first started looking at that, it's an enormous lift. So we're really focusing it on health AI. So the holding name is going to be healthsocal.ai. And we formed a coalition of some of the, I think, highest quality leaders across AI that will help impact this and bring it to market. And we've got about 70 different organizations that are all saying, hey, I want to be a part of any kind of AI initiative that you're going to launch. Now, I've probably got 70 different interpretations as to what that means. So it's really being built as a coalition. Octane will play an important role in it, but it's a fairly heavy lift. And it's important because we've built a community around ophthalmology and a couple of other industries. And while AI is not an industry, but a technology, it crosses all the industries that we serve. So we think we could repeat that. The final thing that we're doing really is impact on the community, all geared towards job creation. And there's a focus on women leadership, and that was kind of formed, Jane, you'd be interested in this, initially was to close the gap between the amount of companies that are formed by women leaders, which is over 50%, yet they receive less than 5% of the venture funding. So there's an enormous gap there. And what that's kind of blossomed into is mentoring and board roles. And we've got initiatives around STEM. We've got initiatives around helping other nonprofits using our accelerator process that feed into underserved areas. And then really putting some emphasis on next gen. Gen Z, millennials, retaining them here and really creating a track, for them to contribute to the community. So those are probably the two key areas that we're looking at this year.
Okay, and I love how, just as you were speaking there, you're talking about how you're bringing all these things. You're kind of the central hub, for the jobs and the nonprofit, and kind of helping organize and just bringing it all together and making it all kind of gel and work. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I think you used the right word. In the intro, we help convene, and I think all these things that we're looking to do are really too big for any one organization. But we could at least lead a coalition and pull that together and convene it.
Yeah. Well, best of luck, and I look forward to getting updates in person later this year, hopefully, Bill.
I look forward to my next trip to New York, and I'd love to see you out here sometime soon too. So thanks a lot, Jane.
Thank you.
Best to you.